Alright guys, and this will be the last one of our videos. This is going to be the last call, which is the array of arrays, which I explained in the last video why we need to know how to map all these different types of structures. So I'm not going to repeat all of that, but just go back to the past video, object of objects, and you'll understand why we need to do this stuff, or why we need to learn this stuff. Again, if you haven't subscribed and you feel the need to, or like it or whatever, or share this, by all means go ahead and do that. I know I am not the best YouTuber out there. I don't have this great persona, these things popping everywhere. My voice is probably putting you to sleep. I don't expect to be an entertainer. I expect to just be an educator. So alright, so let's go into the array of arrays. So let's close all these right here. Well, actually not that one, because we're gonna need to one of these. We're gonna need to copy some over here. Maybe array of, okay, so we're definitely gonna need to do this one, and then just array of objects. Keep this one. So yeah, we're gonna bring up array of objects so that we can use that as our template. So array of arrays. First thing we're gonna need, let's just grab everything. Let's just grab the entire thing, copy it, just make it easier, and then rewrite the entire thing. But we're going to grab this and Control D, go to arrow to the end, and make sure that it's named like the component, array of arrays. An array of arrays. So make sure that these two right here, line 5 and line 42, are named the same thing. Okay, that way we don't run into any issues. Alright, so what we're going to need is we're going to need to change the call to array of arrays. So now we are calling the final one, which is this one right here, and it's going to be an array that is going to contain arrays in it. Okay, so now we can close that one. Alright, so now that we have that, we do have a major state here that we're going to be mapping through. And if you've already gone through the past videos, then you know why in this case we are using one major state and not different pieces of state. Well, you can if you wanted to. If you really wanted to, you can break down the states and use different pieces of state instead of one massive state that you're going to map later. But you don't have to. But that would be actually a good thing also if you wanted to, because then you can maintain each piece of state independently. But so yeah, that kind of stuff is what I mean by arrays always being the best thing, because you have all this freedom where you can just deal with the entire thing or deal with pieces of it and put them into individual states. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good stuff. In this case, we're gonna use an entire piece of state. And then we're gonna basically just grab our get data function here, where we're gonna be calling array of arrays. We're gonna bring a response back in JSON format. We're gonna console log it. We're gonna set the results into the state. Sure, why not? And then all of that will fire on page load right here. And then we have this custom box here that is going to be showing array of arrays. So change that, array of arrays. And that basically is going to map that huge state, and when it maps that huge state, it is going to be giving us back from the state. It's going to inject the data inside the data, and it's going to inject the site into the site, right? So if I hit Control S to save, and I go to array of arrays, it's broken. Alright, I kind of expected it to break, so and I expected it to break because there's some changes that we have to do, obviously. Alright, so let me get my notes on the side here. Alright, cool. Now we're going to go through what's happening here, and let me clear all that and get a new. Alright, there we go. So the console log is giving us actually the right stuff. Okay, so here's the console log right here for the results. So right? To make sure that we're getting actually something back. So first thing you want to do is always console log your call so that you know you're getting an API back of some kind. And then once you get that API back, you can study it, you can break it down, and you can figure out what it is that you need to be doing. Alright, so this array is bringing out these two arrays right here, which is 0 and 1. If you wanted to have piece of state and call it result 0 and inject it into that one, and result 1 for the bad guys and inject it into the other one, you're welcome to do that as well. But we're having some issues here inside the custom box where it cannot read map in custom box, and let's see why that is. So right here we are basically injecting a map item that is going to break down or explode whatever is inside it, and then from in there it's going to explode it further, if I recall, which is this one. Yeah, this one is going to explode it further. It's going to explode it again, and then do this right here. Technically speaking, I could have just add this right here. I could add this in here, inside here somewhere. But if I did that, I think I tried that. If I did that, it made my drop down thing happen in between. Yes, it made it happen in between each of the cards, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to show in its own container. So just in case you were wondering. But anyway, so that's where the problem is. And if we're looking at this, is we are mapping the state, and then inside the state we are then going one step further in to map the another array that is inside it. The problem with this is that you have two arrays in it. Inside the main one, which is this big one, inside this main one there are two arrays in it. So this is basically yelling at you, because it's saying, dude, you're telling me to map through both arrays. You're not telling me you need to send me one array, not two arrays. Okay, I can't map to two arrays at the same time. I can only map one array. So you went in too far, basically. So that's when you need to come over here and remove this data, so that you can map through the main state first. And now if we go here, we go array of arrays. It's mapping through the main array, and it's finding each child in there, and then everything works. Everything works as expected. The only thing that we don't have, if you notice, is the labels. So we don't have the label here because this is also not at that level, right? So how do we get that label back? See, this side is the one that is not calling in there. So we have a side here for the good guys, and there is, let me see where there are arrays. Let's see where the labels are. Because it doesn't exist. Okay, it doesn't even exist. It's not included into the API. So in this case, because it doesn't even exist, then you can basically, just not have it there. You can have an empty. I believe you can write null, and it just basically will be the most favorable way to do it. But you could do that. But how can we do this? Let's try bringing the object, this double, what is it? Not that one. This two right here. Let me bring this format into array, and I have not tried this, so I'm going to see if it works. Alright, but then, so I'm going to use this format, but I'm curious if I can use as zero data, as zero data. I'm curious if I can do that. I know I can do something else, but just give me 1 second. I want to see if this will make sense. Oh, because this is obviously not that. All right, so what is the state called? The state. All right, so I want the state. There we go. The state 0 data. All right, so that wouldn't work. Yeah, so it wouldn't work. All right, so we know that this is not going to be good. So let's try something else then. And then again, this is now us. Oops. This is now us adding stuff to the API that doesn't even include, that is not even included in the API. So technically speaking, it's not our responsibility to add something that we never even received in the API. If they wanted us to write a site on it, they should have just they should have added it to the API. But it's not there, and somebody's telling you gotta add this site on top of it. So no, we have access to that, but we also have access to the index. Okay, and the index is giving you. Let me refresh this, and the index is giving you one index is 0 for the good guys, and index 1 for the Germans, the bad guys. So what I can do here is I can make it a ternary function where the index, let's call it index, if the index is 0, label it good guys, and if it's not 0, if it's 1, in that case bad guys. Oh, there you go, good guys and bad guys. Now that was a little hacky, and I will explain why. This is only giving you, this is a ternary function that only gives you basically those two options, either one or the other. So it will always be true that if it's 0 to be good guys, but then it says that anything else other than 0 will be bad guys. So what happens if you don't have 3 APIs, but instead, I mean two pieces of state, but instead you have 3 pieces of state in there? So let's just go ahead and name and make yet another one here. Then that's why it wasn't working. Am I still breaking? No, that should work. There you go. So you see now I have 3, right? You have these good guys, you have the bad guys, and you have the one that I basically was a copy paste another guy. Now you see how he's also labeling that guy bad guys. And the reason why is because I'm doing it either or. I'm saying if the index is 0, label it good guys. If it's not 0, label everybody else bad guys. So that really wouldn't work. It works in our case right here, not that one. It works in our case right here because we're technically working with 2 pieces of state, good guys and bad guys. So if you're working with 2, if you know you're always going to get 2 arrays inside that array, you can make that decision there. But this really wouldn't work for if you have more than 2, because it was going to name everybody else whatever you have here. So so you will have to do a for each. If you have more than 2, you will have to do a for each function right here in your get data, where you would assign for each result in the data, and then you map it down to where you need to be for each result, give it a different label. So I'm not gonna go through that because that's just part of normal, that's part of another tutorial, right? This was basically just about putting out these different structures. So just to make this work again, I'm just going to delete that and refresh so I can put that back where it was. Alright, here we go guys. We got the object of arrays, array of objects, object of objects, and array of arrays. And that is basically how you do different structures. Alright, I know I don't post a lot, and I do that on purpose because I am not a YouTuber. I don't try to put things out just to create content for no reason. I only put things out that I know could be helpful or hasn't been covered by other people. So sorry if you're expecting a little bit more from me. I'm not ignoring you. I'm not leaving this, in the wind. I'm just trying not to bother you. You're probably already following a bunch of better YouTubers than I am. So, but if I helped you, that will be awesome. Leave a comment. Tell me anything about it. If there are better ways of doing this, which I'm sure there are, let me know as well. There are going to be flavors to this, many flavors to this, and everybody likes to do things in their own way. Okay, so all right, guys, you have a good one, and I'll see you whenever I got something else.